Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm Jenny I'm an astrologer and an energy healer. And I have worked with the vibration of Archangel Metatron since I was very young. How is everybody doing? You know what? I decided that I'm going to do this every November. I'm going to offer a 30-minute reading for your next year for 2023. So I want to make it a seven. So it's going to be $43. And I hope you guys check in with me. I miss talking to all of the people I used to talk to all the time. I always have like new waves of people coming in. But yeah, I think about you guys a lot and I wonder what's going on with you. So I thought would be a good thing to do just because things seem so up in the air right now. And this eclipse season has been just like, wow. I don't know. I don't, I guess because I do it now for work, I never look at my own astrology. Like I were reading with an astrologer and I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't even think about it that my sun was smack in the middle of these eclipses. So thank you everybody for the birthday wishes too. I forgot to say. I appreciated reading all of those. And yeah, I was like, yeah, on my couch. I have a new food intolerance, or I guess I should say I know what it is now. You can always tell by how puffy I am. What's going on with my gut? So anyway, yeah, I haven't been here for a couple weeks. I talked about this eclipse a lot in the last video. Mars is, of course, now he's moved retrograde, but he's still at that same degree about the winter. He is, of course, ruling the sun in Scorpio, and that was a winter frost. It was about like things being dormant. That's where he stopped. Um, I want to talk about the election. Please vote tomorrow if you're in the United States. Really, our democracy is, I mean, if people certain people get their way, they could change state houses so that they can just decide that the people that we vote for weren't really voted for and change our votes. It's serious at this point. We've seen political violence playing out. Um, I don't know. I mean, Saturn right now is in a harmonious trine. Saturn in Aquarius is speaking to the Mars of the United States in harmony. That, if you're just looking at the astrology of it with the United States chart, that looks like status quo kind of thing. Like there isn't going to be a big shift, but Uranus is with this moon. And, with Uranus, you cannot predict what is going to happen with him. But I feel like these elections are safe. I feel like when I'm just looking at it, a whole lot of people could be voting that just I don't think we realize, like we get complacent about democracy and there's so much of it always. They're always talking about it that I think a lot of people just shut it off and just don't participate at all. But I just want to encourage everyone to vote whoever you're going to vote for, just to, while we still have democracy. I'm just kidding. I'm not saying that we're not going to have democracy soon, but I'm saying, he's saying like appreciate it and not to take it for granted. Like I've always said, I'm so lucky that I was born into the country where I was born and in this culture, and how many freedoms we have, that we do take for granted a lot. So I just want to let everyone know that Saturn is reaching out to Mars. So I don't foresee like a big, like a lot of nonsense going on. But of course now, we have candidates who just say, oh, if I don't win, I might still win. Like, what? But yeah, anyway, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but yeah, that's what's happening because it is on the day of the election. For those of you that don't live here, we've got an election on the day of the eclipse. This is also, so a lot of times when we talk about solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, We don't go into the details of, is it total coverage? This is actually a total lunar eclipse. Um, and we won't have another one until March of 2025. So it's pretty significant. It's also significant to me, the way the planets are speaking in parallel, not in the tropical zodiac. Parallel is different. And they, we'll talk about it when we get into it more. But yeah, a lot of the players are together or opposing each other for the eclipse. So let me just give you the time. So it's the 8th of November for everybody. It's 11:02 a.m. in London, 10:02 p.m. in Sydney, and then for Central Standard Time, 5:02 a.m. This is the Beaver full moon. It depends. I never talk about that because it really depends on where you are. All of the different tribes, indigenous peoples had their own names. Um, but it will be that red color, and it's going to be gone for, I know where I am in the Midwest in the United States, we have total coverage for like an hour and a half. We can see it. So you could look up where you are. I know I'm a little late for that, but and find out like when it is a good time to catch the eclipse. This is actually going to go out after the eclipse has taken place, so never mind. But for next time, you'll know. But yeah, I also want to just recommend, with this full moon, it would be a good idea to sage, to, clear out. I know we're having change of season everywhere now. But it's a good idea when the sun is in Scorpio, to, take the time, cleanse your aura, cleanse your house. He's showing me like things being moved around, like zhuzhing up, maybe moving some furniture around, just kind of change it up a little bit. But yeah, sage keeps coming up, so I want to make sure to mention that. And really, not a whole lot has changed since the last time I was with you. But Jupiter has moved back into Pisces. So he's where he was in May now. He's not going to go very far into Pisces. He's just going to go a couple of degrees. And then he's going to come out again in December. And then also, just so you know, so this can be seen in Asia, Australia, North, South America, and Northeastern Europe. So it's really a big one. And, I talked about before, I don't know, you guys, how to explain when I look at charts how I see things or know things about people when I look at their chart, in healing sessions, obviously. But I don't know, I just see gas leaking, and I want to say it's like deep, deep down there. I mean, who knows? I sometimes wonder, when do they tell us everything when there is a leak, when we're pumping it out under the ocean? I don't know. I'm not saying that is exactly happening, but when I look at this chart, that's what I see. So we've got Mercury flush the sun, at the center at 16 degrees of Scorpio. Mercury and the sun, and then the Venus and the south node are on either side of the Mercury Sun conjunction, and that's opposing the Moon, Uranus, and the North Node. And you notice how that's all happening down in the fourth house. That's like the intimate, like our base, where we like let our hair down. It's about like what is personal to us. Saturn right between them. You can see that with the red giant triangle. Saturn looks like a little H down there. So, because he's in the second house, that tells me that we're letting go of or releasing. It could be just like a detrimental habit, or just someone who sucks all the energy, resources. Resources, it's not just money, time, energy, effort. Kind of almost like the way he's saying it now is kind of like cutting the debt away. Like when something is done, over with, finished, not doing the lower Scorpio where you keep going with it because change is, because it's familiar and you'd rather do that than change. Um, especially because Venus is there and Mercury, obviously. It could be a lot to do with relationships. We kind of, and I know someone who's met someone that they're going to marry in this last couple of years, so I'm not saying it's always the truth, but a lot of the astrology is about releasing the past partner, or like I said, we have soulmates for a time, we grow with them, and then a lot of times we move on to the next soulmate. The times are 2 minutes after the hour, so obviously partnership, balance in all things anytime Venus is involved. Um, and Venus is at the degree of Scorpio, the Sabian symbol. She will be between 20 and 21 degrees. So the 21st degree of Scorpio is obeying his conscience. A soldier resists orders. So this is going to be like something that we've been doing just as a matter of function and just because it's always been that way. And this goes to ancestors as well. So it could just be ways of thinking. Um, he was mentioning that it will help us to identify. And it's funny because he was saying like hereditary patterns, but he said heretic. He can do that. Say two words at once. So a lot of times in the subconscious, I mean, unless someone has done the work and healed it, or they're very young, because a lot of the younger, this generation coming in doesn't have the same stuff that we have in our DNA. I mean, they've cleaned it up a lot. But a lot of times it's worth issues that are passed down, especially the way that our parents treated us. Um, I remember when my kids were little reading that, like, just putting eyes on them and listening to them when they talk helps build their self esteem. And when they're not paid attention to, that just tells them, like, you're not worth listening to. I can't hear you. And, it isn't because we all had horrible parents. Maybe some of us did. But it's really just a habit. That's the way it goes generation to generation. So anytime we're talking about Scorpio and Taurus, worth is going to be a part of it. And because Saturn is square that, and he's in the sign, Uranus sign, his traditional sign of Aquarius, it's really going to be about shifting what you're worth. Um, and when he's talking about heretic, he means like a lot of people like to keep that buffer where they're outside of God, outside of the vibration of creation. It's someone, or like he's saying, we're seeking counsel or seeking advice for something outside of us. And that's really just the human condition, that we're separate. We're here to recognize that we aren't separate from the creator, that we're little sparks of God. And so that was one of the things that he mentioned. Also cleaning up habits. Anything that's got us pinned down. I mean, it could be sugar. There's so many things to be addicted to. I'm not gonna try to start naming all of them, but this is a really good time, and the energy is there. Like, you're supported by the universe in a different way, or coming up with something to do that not only he's saying feeds your health, but feeds your heart, meaning the joy. It brings you joy. With Mars and the way that Mars is talking to Saturn, I don't mean the Mars of the United States now. I'm talking about Mars as he is now in the sky, very close to the United States, Mars. It's in the sixth, and really, yeah, it's going to be different ways of thinking because it's in Gemini, but that is like a practical habit, like motion, like exercise, or breath work even works with that, because a lot of times when Mars is in Gemini, the mind can just go, and we have to always be talking too. Um, be careful with, he's saying, honoring your word, um, being honest and upfront, and staying in integrity right now. anything that is being done illicit or otherwise, and this pertains to the election as well, is going to come up. It may not come up a few hours later, but it is going to come back. Be really careful talking about other people as well. And he's just advising, like, who you share your opinions with. Um, he is just making the comment, like, you may not be as like minded as you believe that you are. And there could be something that goes on that maybe you don't even realize is happening. I don't, he's talking to one of you or more than one of you. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn are at 16 degrees parallel. And then contra parallel to that is the Moon and Uranus. So that says, like, something of legacy. It could involve money. I'm talking about personally now. Something of legacy, of a counterpart, something that is long standing, something that you're used to. Just be open to, he was talking about the still small voice. Neptune is in a harmonious trine to Black Moon Lilith and Pallas Athena. So it could relate to a woman. It could just be, that your feminine side is trying to get your attention relating to something. But what else? Okay. He was also talking about paying attention to how your physical body reacts with triggers. And I know that's for a lot of people. Just to be conscious of the physical body and recognizing, um, he's talking about like different tastes and foods, how your body reacts when something different is introduced, is the way that he's putting it. But also listen and read between the lines with what people are saying now, because people will betray themselves and maybe give out more information. Maybe they think that you know already, and they'll be selling you something. That's interesting. Telling you something. But yeah, as far as selling you something, you're going to want to be careful with spending a large amount of money right now. I'm guessing that's why he was mentioning that. And then, of course, daily care to maintain the joyous vibration that you are. Maybe like setting up something with your daily ritual where you just, whenever we change a pattern or a program, like I was talking about, where our parents ignored us, he's saying like that was done over so many years and at a time when we were like little emotional sponges and we took in everything, verbal and nonverbal. So he's saying if you can take some time and make the effort to, at the end of each day, congratulate yourself, tell yourself, remind yourself that you're proud of yourself, remind your body that how happy you are with your body, how pleased you are with your body. He is recommending all of that. I need to look at my notes because there was something I didn't write down. And, oh, I know. Okay. So Saturn is going to leave Aquarius. Now, he's just finished his last retrograde there. I'm glad. And he's moving forward. He will leave Aquarius and move into Pisces on March 8th. And then on March 23rd, Pluto will move out of Capricorn and into Pisces. Pluto will leave Capricorn and move to Aquarius. Saturn's moving into Pisces. So Saturn's been in Aquarius since December of 2020. And depending on, where that falls in your chart, it's different obviously for all of us, but I know the Aquarians will be glad about that. Now Pluto's moving in. So I have 3 Aquarian children. I'm like, oh, interesting. So, Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008. I think because Capricorn rules corporations, business, big business. I think the biggest shift since that time that we can all agree on is that corporations really don't care anymore. You used to be able to say, I've been with you for 20, however many years, and they would adjust your bill or, give you a little favor. And they're just not that interested anymore. It's so much more of a monopoly. And think about that. Like the banks went under. We had all of that financial crisis right before Pluto moved in there. And think of the difference, like how much more powerful all of the banks are, and that we bailed out from now till then. So he will dip back into Capricorn next year as well, but he is wrapping up a story with each of us that began in 2008. So pay attention to that. Pluto, of course, rules Scorpio. So it could be subconscious pattern, something that's got a hold of you, like almost like something that you're enslaved to, or he's saying enshrined, something that's enshrined in the memory. It's shocking to me how many like strong independent females, and I'm going to include myself with this, still have subconscious patterns of having to be subservient. And men, the stress and the pressure of the responsibility that they feel coming in is amazing. I mean, they let me start feeling that about a year ago once in a while. And it was shocking to me. I had no idea that they always feel that much pressure, like to be the one who is in the role of support. Now, obviously, that's changing, right? But when things begin to change in the practical world, we still have the programs running. And a lot of times the female program is, I'd like a man to take care of me. Um, I mean, I planned on staying home when I got married, when I knew I was going to have little kids. I'm not saying there's anything negative about that, but we are making a shift now. So I don't know why he's bringing that up, but okay. He also wanted me to speak to focusing on our base chakra, the root chakra, because he's saying it's very untethered feeling out there right now. And there's still, I was just talking to one of you by text, that fear and worry about money. Fear is what we imagine. It isn't real. So we could rein that in a little bit and just start seeing resources like flowing to you. And then, what usually happens with that is when we're focusing on something like that, like resources opening up, um, then it will come to us just when we're, I don't know, doing the dishes or whatever it is, even meditating. But usually, meditating, you just want to be quiet, and not so much be searching for answers. Um, but it will come to you what the block is, especially if it's something ancestral that relates to patterns, programs, inherited, especially, ones that deal with money and with worth right now. And Venus is going to be there for a while. So just be open to that, to you saying to moving beyond conditions of worth. You can't really be more worthy than you are. You are very worthy. There is not, he's saying you can't put a number on it. It's infinite worth. And so, start repeating that program every night before we go to bed. Yeah. All right, guys. I apologize. I mean, he's telling me not to apologize. I do feel bad when I'm not here. So I want you to know that I think of it all the time. I just was not good. When you have I know so many of you have it, food intolerance, it kind of, your body reacts like food poisoning. And then when you don't know what it is, it's been going on for a while. So I'm glad I know what it is. I think I know what it is, but yeah. Anyway, you guys, love you so much. Check in with me for the special, for 2023. We can talk about what's coming up. It's just a half hour. We're not going to do energy healing or anything like that. It's just going to be a peek at what's coming up for you this year, what you're going to have on your plate that you might not be aware of. But yeah. All right, you guys, sending you so much love. Bye-bye.